on first down. They hand off to Marlon Mack. Huge hole, 50-yard line. He's at the 40, still going near sideline. He's at the 10. He's at the 5, and he will score. Touchdown, Marlon Mack. Touchdown, I-N-D-Y. And again, it's picked off. It's Darius Leonard. Leonard with a second INT, and he's streaking down the near sideline. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. He's at the 20. He's going to go. A pick six for the Maniac. Kenny Moore gets to Deshaun Watson. That's a sack for Kenny Moore. Kenny has a pick and now a sack in the game.
Horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
Welcome back to another episode of the Bring the Juice podcast. I'm your host, Cody Felger. As always, my guy, Derek Larger, joining us. And we have a very special guest on with us today from the Indianapolis Colts. Second-round pick last year out of TCU, Mr. Ben Banogu. Ben, thanks for coming on the show, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Just trying to, work through these days. It's a little bit difficult, but making it work. So I'm happy to be on set and ready to get going.
All right.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned it's just kind of weird days we find ourselves in with the coronavirus and all that stuff. I'm curious, man, how has this virus really – it's impacted everybody. It's impacted, everyday life. It's impacted the sports world. It's even impacted you guys not being able to go into the Colts facility. But I'm curious for you specifically, how has this coronavirus really impacted you from this offseason as opposed to even last offseason?
I think last offseason was more, trying to get ready for what's coming up next. So for us, it was like rookie mini camp OTAs. So it was like you're kind of getting thrown into the fire. But I think coming into this offseason, I guess a lot of guys were looking forward to having that first offseason where you can kind of just know who you are and kind of work on the things you need to work on. And that's kind of when you see like most of the growth. But with this happening, I just kind of feel like it just kind of slowed things down and it kind of took people out of their routines. But I feel like a lot of people have found light in it. I know I have. So it's been interesting times.
Yeah, it certainly has been. And I guess before we get into more Colts-related questions, I'm curious, and for our listeners out there, tell us a little bit about you, man. How did you start getting into football? When did you start playing? How did you discover your love for football? And when did you decide, man, I want to start doing it at the next level, collegiately and then the NFL level?
Yeah, so I started playing football when I was in middle school. I started my 7th grade year and 8th grade year. I was on the white team. We had green and white for our high school. So green team was usually like the guys that are a little more, refined in their skills and everything. So I wasn't on that team, so I knew I kind of had to work at it. I was more of a hooper. I used to play a lot of basketball, and I was more into that. Started falling in love with football probably about my sophomore year, and I ended up breaking my femur that year. So I was kind of on and off with football, kind of really got going my senior year. Ended up getting one offer out of college to Louisiana Monroe and then transferred to TCU and kind of just took a lot of chances on myself. I knew I could play at a high level, and I wanted to play against a couple of teams like Alabama and Georgia when I was at ULM and played well. So that's kind of when I knew that's like really what I wanted to do. And I had great coaches around me and outstanding teammates at TCU, and that kind of helped me grow. So I guess I would say I'm a late bloomer. I've always loved football. I started out as a quarterback, and I wanted to be the next Mike Vick or Randall Cunningham or whatever, and kind of played a lot of spots because I didn't really there wasn't really a place for me. I was kind of like a do-it-all guy, but I wasn't really great at one thing. And then I think TCU really made me into a defensive end. So kind of stuck with that, and the Colts took a chance on me, and I'm happy being a Colt, and I want to improve on last year and trying to be the best player I can be moving forward.
Yeah, that's awesome, Ben. That kind of leads me straight into my next question that I had for you. Obviously, like you mentioned, you spent your first season at Louisiana Monroe. You had 44 tackles and 3 sacks, and then you decided to transfer to TCU in 2016. And then you obviously made a name for yourself there, had over 100 tackles and 17 sacks over the next 2 years. What made you decide that TCU was the right fit for you as a player and as a student there?
It was actually I actually wasn't even looking for TCU. I was actually looking for a couple of schools that were close to home. The red and blue school, I think, something about a pony. But yeah, I was actually looking to go to a couple of schools that were close to home, and they actually said that that they didn't have the offers to left, I guess, and they kind of gave me the runaround. I ended up getting a call from TCU, and it kind of just worked out as a last minute thing. Ended up not even taking an official visit or anything, just telling them that I was going to show up, and they gave me a chance. So it was kind of a quick turnaround, but I fell in love with the coaches. I fell in love with the atmosphere, the camaraderie within the locker room, and there was a lot of good guys on that team. So I think it just kind of helped me grow. And yeah, I mean, I appreciate those guys. I appreciate the coaches. Coach Patterson's a great coach, and I don't think I'd be here without him. So props to him.
And Ben, you've mentioned already a little bit about some expectations. I think every player sets expectations for themselves for every season. I'm curious about some of your expectations that you had in 2019, and do you feel like you met some of those expectations, and were there some that you felt like you kind of failed to meet and you want to meet maybe in 2020?
Yeah, I think going into every season, everyone kind of makes a goal sheet or like an aspiration type thing where they're looking to achieve certain accolades or like a sack number or different kinds of things, like outside of just playing defensive end. I mean, each spot is different. But as for me, yeah, I did have a lot of goals for myself, and I do think I achieved a lot of them. My main one was kind of earning the trust of my teammates and my coaches, and being able to be a player that they can look at and count on. I think that's the main thing. And then outside of that, just being able to grow every day, not take any steps back. I think working with Rob helped me a lot this year. Kind of understand my game and I understand how I move, what moves work for me, what moves don't. I've been working on this off season, just working on moves where it's just like one or two moves, keep it simple, and I think that'll help me moving forward this upcoming year. I think I bring a lot of good things to the table, and as far as things that I need to work on, I think all the coaches and Rob kind of talked to me about that, kind of asked me what I thought I needed to work on, and we were kind of on the same language. So I don't think I achieved all the goals I wanted to, just because it was like some circumstances that kind of happened throughout the season. But this upcoming year is a new year. I'm excited for it. But the first thing is, every year is a new year. You have to earn the trust of your team and your coaches at year in and year out. So that's going to be my first goal coming into this year. And then obviously I have high expectations for myself. I'm not going to say I'm going to do all these things. I'm just going to go out there and do it. So.
Yeah, obviously you mentioned, some of the things you have to work on. The common quote of failure is known as the best teacher. You get to learn from those failures and make yourself better. Was there ever a point during this season where you felt like you could have done more but didn't? Or is there a low point for you at any point during the last season?
I guess I guess I'll start with the low point. I think it was actually a good transition for me. I started off playing a lot because we had some guys injured. and I did well. But going into the week, I kind of hit a little bump on the road, and we ended up playing Kansas City that week, and I played strictly special teams. And that game was big. It was on a big stage, and we were able to play well, and our team won. But the main thing was that I took away from it was that I wanted to be ready, and I wanted to be able to be trusted enough to be out on the field. And I feel like that's after that week, it kind of changed for me, and I think you kind of saw changes in my play. And then when we played the Broncos, you kind of see it culminating, and it was a good experience. It was cool. And then once I kind of figured out, all right, like this is how it kind of works. I feel like I started making strides, and I feel like I was getting a lot more playing time as the year went on. I kind of rolled with that.
Yeah. And Ben, you mentioned, the physical stuff that you mentioned, figuring out some more of your moves and stuff like that. I'm curious for you, and from a team standpoint, obviously you guys had that hot start, like you mentioned, the Kansas City game. You guys defeated the eventual Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
And then the second half of the season, it seemed like something happened where, you went from a winning record to ultimately a 7-9 record. So I'm curious, what do you as a player and what do you guys as a team need to do here in 2020 to avoid that from happening again?
I think we were kind of young last year. I mean, we're going to be young next year. We have a young team. So I think we kind of got in a rut, and, it happens. It's the NFL. Like, every team is good. So I think we added a lot of pieces that are really going to help our team. We have a guy coming in that's played about 2 decades in the league. He's gonna be an instant leader. We have a D tackle coming in, and everyone knows him. So those 2 guys are gonna come in and really help our team. I think our team's already competitive. We have a lot of guys that have already shown that with our linebackers and our O-line. I think that this upcoming year we're going to turn a lot of heads. I know he kind of struggled this past year, but we have a young team, and I think a lot of people kind of counted us out. And if you kind of look at the games, we played everyone close. Just kind of a couple of things here and there that didn't go our way. But I think the guys up top, that they get paid a lot of money to make the ship go, and I see the ship going in the right direction.
Gotcha. Yeah, you mentioned it, how, you guys obviously Colts Nation that didn't want that outcome of 7-9, you guys included. But let's shift over to some more positives, because there's a couple of those in there. And for you personally, some things for you personally, you got a sack in your NFL debut, got Phillip Rivers, which was really cool. To getting the game-winning sack fumble against the Denver Broncos, which I think is our fan favorite of yours. And obviously, you guys defeated the Kansas City Chiefs, who obviously went on to win the Super Bowl. What was your favorite football moment from last
year? I think it'd be run away with the sack to end the game. I think it was kind of cool. My first play ever as a Colt, I got a freebie sack. That's cool. But I'll crack some jokes with Rivers about it when I see him. But I think when we played against the Broncos, it was it was good because it wasn't just that like you kind of make a play, but it was like you made an impact on the game. You ended the game. So, and as the defensive end, that's something that you kind of live for. So I think that was probably my favorite moment.
Yeah, certainly. I'm curious for you, Ben, coming in last year as a rookie pick, learning a lot of the ropes of an NFL defense and just NFL life. I'm curious for you last year, who are some of the guys, maybe, coaches, players, who are some of the guys that had the biggest influence on you last year in your transition to the NFL world?
As far as players that I've met, like my teammates that I met throughout my time, I'd probably say EJ, because we were all in the same class of linebackers, Bobby, Kari, Rock. We were all in the same class. So really everyone in that rookie class, Marvell, we're all kind of like glue guys, So, like if we ever doing anything or if we ever were in our rookie camps with DT, it was just us. But as far as guys that were like on the team, like vets, I'd probably say Justin. He was probably like a uncle kind of thing. He was always steering us in the right direction. Jabal, I guess Teray. Teray was one of those guys that was young, but at the same time we could relate. He kind of went through it this past year, and as far as coaches, I'd probably say Coach Reich. Surprisingly, he's a coach. You would think that he's kind of has a lot of things to worry about outside of certain spots. He's a quarterbacks guy, but he spent a lot of time with the D line and just getting a chance to know him and the type of person he is, and he has a religious background. So it's just he's a really cool guy to kind of pick his brain and understand him, and he was a really big help for me this year.
Gotcha. All right, let's shift over to the defensive scheme that you guys run. Regardless of how certain fans feel about the Tampa 2 defense, it's what Eberflus has you guys running. Obviously, it provides a lot more zone looks, more odd coverages, and provides different ways for you guys to get to the quarterback. What do you like and appreciate about the Tampa 2, and how do you feel that helps your style of play and it helps the other guys who are back there as well?
I think the Tampa 2 is good for guys like me, guys like we have on our defense, guys that can run around and make plays, don't really have to think that much, can kind of just shoot their shots, and it's a upfield pressure defense. We're trying to get in the backfield as fast as possible. So, I love it. I love being out on a wide 9 or being in a 5 and being able to rip and run and do all the things that I'm kind of gifted with, like speed. And I know all the other guys love it too.
And obviously this year, especially in free agency, the Colts and you guys have been very active in bringing in new guys to this defense specifically. I'm kind of curious your thoughts specifically to the defensive line, because you guys now obviously traded away number 13, added DeForest Buckner to the group, signed Sheldon Day. How excited are you for this defensive line, and what do you think, honestly, that these additions can do for you guys on that defensive front?
I definitely think when you bring guys like that, it kind of opens everything up for like everybody. I know the guys on the edge are going to be happy about it because you got guys in the interior that can kind of do their thing. They're going to demand double teams, and it opens it up for young guys like me, Teray, Taekwon, and I think it'll really help our D line. It'll help our team. It'll build a lot of competition, and I think that's what a lot of people are excited about.
Obviously, Chris Ballard always preaches about the locker room. It's about the chemistry in the locker room and how you guys all feel together. That's what makes this team the way it is. Give me the inside scoop of what the locker room is like. Is it really like that knit tight that Chris Ballard says it is?
I think every locker room is different. Just as far as just like football in general, like from a little kid all the way up till you get in the NFL, it's there's something sacred about a locker room. There's just something special about our locker room. Some locker rooms are bad, some are really good, and the ones that are really good, like I think ours is, you find guys that understand each other, not just on a football level, but on a personal level. Mm-hmm. And I think he usually says that it's not the players or like it's not the skill that makes the locker room. It's like the people that are in it. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of good people in our locker room, and it's cool because it's a lot of young people, so we all can relate to each other. And then obviously we have a couple old heads, and you can always pick their brain. And it's good what he's done and what the coaches have done to assemble this team and have a great locker room. It's pretty good.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all the questions we have for you. Thank you, Ben, for your time, man, on coming on to the show. We really appreciate it a lot. Super exciting, man, to see you here in your second year with the Colts. How you continue to develop, physically, mentally, your game. And also, man, if training camp happens, that you continue to push your way up the depth chart. So, man, we appreciate you. We really appreciate you coming on, and we'll have to do it again sometime.
All right. Yeah, sounds good. Definitely.
All right, man. Well, take care.
All right. You too.